Did you think you could deceive me by saying that? You broke Mom's leg. I'm already prepared to file a complaint. When I returned from shopping, my husband was standing there with a stern look on his face. He told me that Vanessa, my husband's mother, had broken her leg and would be in the hospital for an extended period. Furthermore, he claimed that the cause of her broken leg was my fault. He refused to believe my elementary school-aged son's statement, claiming that even though he had been with him the whole time, he couldn't trust his words. My husband resorted to violence because I refused to acknowledge Vanessa's injury. However, at that moment, a visitor arrived, and it was the police. And then, it was my husband who was taken away by the police, not me. My name is Zena, and I'm 33 years old. I'm a family of 3, including my husband, Pal, who is 4 years older than me, and our 3rd-grade son, Kay. I work as a caregiver, while my husband is employed at a company. The way we met was through a mutual friend who introduced us. A friend who was worried about me, seeing how exhausted I was from work, introduced my husband to me, thinking it might be good for me. My husband was a man with kindness and a nurturing nature, yet he also had a strong side that he occasionally showed. I had complete trust in my friend's introduction. We got married a year after meeting, and soon after, I became pregnant with our son, Kay. It all happened so quickly, and now he's already in the 3rd grade of elementary school. During that time, there were no elements that made me dislike my husband, but something happened those triggered feelings of disgust toward him. The trigger was the sudden death of Walter, his father. His parents lived nearby, and we maintained a good balance between keeping our distance and enjoying a harmonious family relationship. However, everything changed due to his sudden death. The reason was that Vanessa began to cling to my husband and son like a stalker after her hatband's sudden death. Vanessa seemed to be unleashing emotions that had been suppressed by Walter all this time. Since my husband was originally an only child, it seemed that he had been spoiled and pampered by his mother since childhood. However, upon getting married, my husband decided to prioritize our own family and chose to distance himself from his mother. My husband had a thorough discussion with his father, who assured him that he would act as a mediator with his mother, and he indeed fulfilled that role. Thanks to Walter, we were able to live our lives with minimal interference from Vanessa. Now that Walter has passed away, there is no one to restrain Vanessa. As a first step, she moved to a single-family house where we live. I'm getting older too, and with your father gone, living alone is very lonely, isn't it, pal? That's why I've decided to live in this house too. On that day, without any prior discussion, she moved in. Since her belongings had also arrived, and due to her assertive statements, my husband couldn't bring himself to say no, so we reluctantly accepted living together. I worked mainly day shifts as a caregiver due to the nature of my job, but I had night shifts a few times a month. When I had night shifts, I used to prepare pre-made dinners and the next day's lunch for my husband and Kate to eat. However, as soon as we started living with Vanessa, she insisted on doing the cooking herself. Feeding Pal and Kay cold meals. I couldn't say anything when she said that. My night shifts occurred about 4 to 5 times a month, and it seemed like Vanessa was eagerly waiting for those nights. It wasn't clear whether she saw it as an opportunity to have my husband and Kay all to herself, but Vanessa would prepare an excessive amount of food, including my husband and Kay's favorites, on my night shifts. She seemed to be intentionally filling the refrigerator with leftover dinners, almost like a form of harassment. Furthermore, Vanessa would prepare sweet treats as dessert, hoping to please Kay. However, Kay didn't like sweet snacks. On the contrary, Kay preferred savory snacks like rice crackers and salty appetizers as opposed to sweet treats. And with the awareness that Vanessa was trying to get close to me in my absence, he understood her intentions clearly. He didn't sweeten his attitude towards her and generally responded with indifference. My husband, while recognizing that Vanessa was going overboard, was held back by the fact that she was his mother. He couldn't muster the strength to confront her firmly and settled for moderate responses. Vanessa still seemed unaware that she couldn't control my husband and Kay as she wished, according to her own vision. Vanessa's love for my husband and Kay was blatant, and conversely, her strong dislike for me was also evident. She often engaged in subtle but malicious acts of bullying, making it clear that she despised me. For example, after I finished vacuuming, I would hear a loud noise coming from the storage room under the stairs a little while later. When I went to investigate, I discovered that Vanessa had emptied the contents of the vacuum cleaner all over the hallway. This was a sign of her redoing things, and if there was even a speck of dust left in the corner of the stairs, she would always empty the contents of the vacuum cleaner, so I never had enough time, and other household chores couldn't progress. When it came to laundry, we never washed our clothes together with Vanessa's items. If she had her own preferences, she could have washed her clothes separately, but instead, she seemed to take pleasure in wasting time by separating laundry. Cleaning and laundry were already quite challenging due to Vanessa's behavior, but when it came to meals, it was even worse. "What's this salty miso soup? I can't drink it. The rice is too hard. I feel like my teeth will break. Normally, sweet omelette is what you should have. And why is there no grilled fish and nori for breakfast? That's unacceptable." She never held back her complaints. "Mom, Zena makes breakfast even though she's busy. If you're going to complain so much, either you can make it, or you don't have to force yourself to eat." My husband tried to help. However, Vanessa responded calmly, "I'm saying this for Pal and Kay's sake. How can they go through the day eating such an unappetizing breakfast? How can they go through the day eating such an unappetizing breakfast?" She never intended to prepare her own meals, but she kept criticizing the food as if she were an expert, which infuriated me even more. She continued to complain about every meal, ruining the atmosphere at the dining table throughout the day. Vanessa never had any intention of causing harm, but after complaining, she would try to engage in conversations about what happened today and ask Kay about school. However, since my husband and Kay were on my side, we would mostly just brush off her remarks. Still, she persisted as if she didn't care and continued talking. However, after this, a decisive event occurred where my husband sided with Vanessa. On a certain holiday, I had made plans to go shopping with Kay. My husband was already out with friends and not at home. When Vanessa saw us getting ready to leave, she said the following: "How can you leave me behind like this? What a terrible daughter-in-law you are. Kay, why don't you go out with Grandma instead?" Kay responded with, "We had plans to go out, just the two of us today. Grandma can stay here while we're gone," firmly refusing her request. She didn't find it amusing and said, "Why are you going out with someone like Zena? Is it about money after all? You never give me any pocket money, but you keep spending money on yourselves. Even though I'm Pal's mother, you have no respect for me, do you?" While saying this, she walked towards my bag, basically implying, "Give me money." I felt a sense of urgency due to Vanessa's actions. I approached my bag, and to my surprise, she tried to steal it. "Vanessa, you receive an allowance from Pal, don't you? I don't think there's a need for any more financial support," I said. Then, Vanessa resorted to physical force and started pulling my bag away from me. Vanessa, seizing the moment when the wallet slipped out, picked it up promptly. She opened the wallet and took out a 100 bill. I thought, isn't this theft? However, theft within a cohabiting family is not legally recognized. Vanessa then said, "It would have been better if you had just given it to me from the start," as she clenched the 100 bill and left the house. Well, I could see that she would probably spend it all in no time, so I decided to let it go. I apologized to Kay for showing him something I didn't want him to see and said, "I'm sorry, Kay. Now, let's cheer up and go out." I tried to be as cheerful as possible. Kay and I had a great time at a shopping mall not too far away. We enjoyed our time together, and I bought him some new shoes and clothes to accommodate his recent growth. When he wanted to wear the new shoes right away, I obliged, and he happily skipped around in them, clearly pleased. Afterward, Kay accompanied me for a little bit of my shopping, and for lunch, we went with his choice, having ramen. "Wouldn't you prefer a kid's meal or something?" I asked. "I'm already a grown-up, and I want something hearty," Kay responded. Maybe his taste buds were maturing faster than expected, or he was inheriting an adult's palate, but I couldn't help but feel a bit nostalgic about his growth. I had plans to enjoy a stylish meal like omuris or hamburger steak personally, so I was a bit disappointed. As I was thinking about this, my phone rang. It was a call from my husband, so I thought it might be something urgent. When I answered, he said, "Where are you right now with Kay? Come back home quickly." I was surprised by his unusual anger, but I asked, "Why are you so angry?" To which my husband seemed even more angered and said, "What's wrong? What's not? Don't you understand what you've done, Zena?" His anger puzzled me even more. I thought it would be best to return home quickly, so I told Kay, "It's a bit early, but let's head back." When we arrived home, my husband was standing there with a worried expression, as if something serious had happened. He told Kay to go back to his room and made sure he did before my husband immediately spoke, saying, "Where have you been all this time? You broke my mother's leg, and then you casually went out with Kay, and came back as if nothing happened. What?" I was shocked by my husband's statement and could hardly believe my ears. I was taken aback by the accusation that I had broken Vanessa's leg. How could this be? I work in a profession where I care for people's lives, and I would never intentionally harm anyone. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you mean. So, you thought you could deceive me by saying that? You broke my mother's leg. She's at the hospital claiming that you did it, and filing a police report against you. Is my husband really thinking that I did something like that? He completely refuses to listen to my side of the story, and I felt so sad. I've always been shopping with Kay, just the two of us. It's true we had a little argument with your mother before we left in the morning, but we haven't seen her since. Ask Kay. I responded, my tone becoming stronger as I was wrongly accused. Can't trust what Kay says. He's just a third grader, he can't possibly understand what's happening. Give him some pocket money, let him play at the game center, and you can make all the time you want, my husband said, indicating that he didn't trust me or even his own son. It seemed that only the fact of the fracture and Vanessa's statement were driving my husband. Even so, I haven't done it. I haven't spent the day with your mother, and I trust her words, even less, I said. My husband, seemingly angered by my words, lunged towards me and struck my face. Watching this from slightly ajar room door, Kay tried to approach me. I was worried for his safety and unintentionally shouted, Kay! Go back to your room! I said to Kay to ensure my enraged husband wouldn't harm him. Then suddenly, the intercom rang. I didn't know who it was, but they might be able to help. I was near the front door, so I opened it, only to find the police standing there. Vanessa had caused a scene at the hospital, and she had already filed a police report without listening to my husband. The police had come to inform our relatives of the results of their investigation. The police officer asked with concern what happened. We heard loud noises and screams. Are you all right? I had a nosebleed. My husband, upon seeing the police, seemed to regain some composure, but was still quite agitated. Did you hit this woman? Well. At that moment, a voice came from the children's room. Dad hit Mom. Kay summoned the courage to say. Dad hit Mom. Worried by the lack of response from the adults, Kay said it again, this time louder. Upon hearing this, the police officer asked, Ma'am, is what your child is saying true? I nodded quietly in response, and then the officer went to the living room to ensure the safety of both me, who was almost done bleeding from the nose, and Kay. My husband and the police officer also came to the living room, and the police officer said, Regarding the matter with Mr. Powell's mother, we have conducted an investigation. She claims that it was done by you, Mrs. Zena, but there is no evidence of that anywhere. Are you suggesting that my mother is lying? She insists that she was pushed down the stairs by Zena. My husband responded with excitement, but the police said, We believed there was a high possibility of an incident, so we quickly investigated it. We found security camera footage of the staircase where it appears your Vanessa suffered the fracture. We rushed to analyze it, and it shows that your Vanessa didn't get pushed, she fell on her own. The video started playing, and as my husband watched it, his complexion gradually worsened. To our surprise, the video showed Vanessa deliberately jumping down the staircase without attempting to land on any steps. Furthermore, the police continued. Your mother appears to have checked her surroundings nervously before jumping. Isn't this indicative of something she didn't want others to witness? My husband stammered, This can't be my mother lying to me. They were investigating based on her claims of being injured, but it has led to this conclusion. We'll wrap up the injury case, and we'll arrest Mr. Powell here for assaulting you, Mrs. Gina. We'll need you to come to the police station for a detailed discussion. Is that acceptable? The conversation suddenly turned to me, but I couldn't tolerate my husband's violent actions. Please take him away. I'm begging you, I said. My husband was led away to the police station with a pitiful look on his face. After calming down a bit, I went to the hospital where Vanessa was admitted, accompanied by Kay. To be honest, I was hesitant to go, but I needed to inform Vanessa about what the police had uncovered. I was angry at the thought of Vanessa continuing to revel in her superiority. When Kay and I entered the hospital room, her first words were, Why is Zena here? Didn't you go to the police? I retorted and told her everything. The one who was taken to the police station is your beloved son, Pal, not me. He suspected me and even physically attacked me. It's only right that he got taken by the police, I responded firmly. It's Pal who attacked? That's because of you, isn't it? Why should Pal be the one arrested and not you? Vanessa seemed to be still deluded, thinking that everyone believed she was injured by me. I needed to correct that misconception first. Vanessa, it seems like they were investigating me for allegedly causing your injury, but the police quickly conducted an investigation and found video evidence showing you jumping down the stairs willingly. It captured you checking your surroundings and timing your jump perfectly. Quite unfortunate, right? I couldn't help but burst into laughter as I imagined Vanessa's one-woman drama. After being told the truth, Vanessa didn't become enraged as I had expected. Instead, she seemed to defiantly say, That's right. I fell on my own. I thought if I could blame Zena for my painful fracture, then Pal and Kay would become mine. Pal shouldn't have told the police anything. They should have just believed my story. Feeling exasperated by Vanessa's words, both Kay and I decided to leave. We realized that there was nothing to gain from continuing to listen to her fabricated story. At that moment, Kay said, Grandma is the worst person. I don't want to turn out like her. Vanessa was left speechless by the words of an elementary school student. With mixed feelings, Kay and I returned home. When I returned home, my husband, who had come back from the police station with a strong warning, was there. I told him about the decision I had made regarding this incident. "I want a divorce from you." That's right, I had decided to divorce my husband over this incident. He only believed Vanessa's claims, doubted me, and even our son, Kay. On top of that, he physically assaulted me. I made this decision because I found it difficult to continue our married and family life together. It's not good for Kay, and although it didn't happen this time, I was concerned that he might be harmed in the future. My husband hurriedly said, "I'm sorry. I apologize for not believing you too and for hitting you. I don't want a divorce." But my decision to divorce remained firm. "I can't trust you, and I can't handle your mother either. I'm starting a new life, for the sake of Kay. You two should get along here, in this house as best as you can. Your mother probably wants that to some extent," I said firmly. "We're ending the cohabitation with my mother, and I'll either place her in a facility or cut ties with her. If it's just the three of us again, there shouldn't be any problems, right? So, please don't leave me," he pleaded. "I can't cut ties or place her in a facility, yet you're talking like it's easy. Please don't say things lightly. I've made up my mind. I can't live with a man who resorts to violence." "Goodbye," I said, and together with Kay, we packed our essentials and left the house. My now ex-husband seemed lost, but that was no longer our concern. Afterward, Kay and I stayed with my parents for a little while, and we initiated the formal divorce proceedings. I, of course, obtained custody of Kay. My ex-husband and Vanessa resisted granting custody until the end, citing my history of violence against him as a disadvantage. However, they agreed to provide child support and promised to pay it regularly. We settled on allowing monthly visitations for my ex-husband to see Kay, but with the condition that he wouldn't approach us otherwise. I made these decisions to protect Kay. It seems that the incident where I was taken away by the police due to the violence against me might have been witnessed by neighbors, making it uncomfortable to stay at home. So, my ex-husband decided to sell the house, and now Vanessa and he are living together in a small 4-tatami room. On the other hand, we moved to a facility where I work without night shifts. It took some time for Kay to adjust to the new environment, and I believe it might be a bit challenging for him financially, but I'm determined to protect his smile. With that goal in mind, I'm able to give my best effort at work and make things work for us. I will continue to do my best in work, household chores, and parenting for the sake of Kay.